Hello, hello, and welcome. My name is MiniBetrayal, and this is Factorio 1 per minute, episode 4. Last episode, we got our smelting area up and going. Since the last episode, I haven't done any major changes to the base. All I did roll it back a little bit, remake these changes to the outputs here, and then run it again just to test it, make sure it was properly loading both sides of the belt. It is good. And also, just so I can keep doing science, last episode I mentioned that our major bottleneck for science was steel. So you can see, even though we're doing science, up to mining productivity 30 now, making good progress, this is all nice and backed up, because I cheated. Our new steel production, I've prioritized the new base, but anything else that we're not using is heading up and just sliding into the old base here. I believe with this I have prioritized the old steel production over the new steel production. Okay, I think that's all the changes I have made. Our new bottleneck is copper again, actually. Did not expect that. We've got pretty much full copper. I reckon we're just using that much copper. Well, I'm not going to change it now. Science is going. That's what matters. Okay, this episode we are working on fluids. So I've done a lot of numbers and working and simultaneous equations and icky stuff, but I've worked out how many of various things we need. Because of course we need all our fluids on the line, we need barrels full of each fluids on the line, and of course in the right amounts as well. So speaking of barrels, that's what we're going to start off with first. So they're nice and easy to do. Where does that steel end? Just about there. So if I just put, there goes my 58th rocket. We'll watch that go. Lovely. I'm quite glad I put that little alarm system in so I can watch my rockets as they take off. But there you go, 58. Okay, what are we doing? Barrels, that's right. So, barrels need just steel, and that's all they need. It's nice and easy. So, let's put those in the right places. One there, one there. And we need a belt coming down full of steel. There. Yeah, I will prioritize it. Okay, and down. And come out there. And then barrels need to make their way back to the bus. What I will do, actually, rather than have them go all the way up, there's, strictly speaking, 2 rows here that are empty. So I'm going to have the barrels join into the bus there, and then that way they'll be nice and close to the bottom of the bus for when we need them in just a moment. And 2 more. I think another mistake I made at the end of the last episode, which I have fixed, I actually only had 7 of these lines going down hooked up. So that extra iron that we had in this section here, that's now been redirected downwards. And this line here sort of joins in up there and should, so that's the 8th one. And then the remaining ones come back out there. And it's a little bit messy, but it works, I think. Okay, back to what we were doing again. Okay, this wants power, of course, so let's give it some power. And we're making barrels. I will productivity this. Now, even with a 50% reduction in speed, this is making more barrels than we need. What I will do, though, is balance this belt. Just make sure things go nicely on both sides. Okay, there we go. Alright, the next thing on my list is a barrel of crude oil. So, how shall we do this? Is there a nice, neat way of doing this, or shall I just line everything up? So if I just put that there, crude oil barrel. Okay, Okay, so that needs empty barrels, of course, and crude oil. Okay, slight change of plan to how I'm doing this. I'll just pick that up. What I'm going to do, I'll leave that steel line where it is. Oh, of course, I've got too much stuff on me now. Let's put some beacons in there for now. I'm not going anywhere near a logistics network. I will use them later. Pick that up. Move that. Okay, I'm just going to move it across just a tiny bit and have the input there and the output there. Okay, so if that comes up, we'll have that come out there instead. My reason for that will hopefully become clear in a moment. Set that back, making barrels again. Any spare, but yeah, lots of spare barrels on me. They only stack to 10. Lovely. Okay, yes, this one here. Now, if I say I want that to fill crude oil barrels, we're taking oil from here, and I want to take barrels from here. There, actually. That'll come under to there and go down. Go in and out. And then that can go up, and I'll just... Barrels full of stuff aren't used for anything. Yeah, no they're not. So I will stick these on the top of the bus. Okay, and then let's hook in this. Oh, and down. Really don't need priority there, but for the sake of keeping everything nice and neat. Okay. The next thing on my list is steam. Not something you think about very often, but it is an in-game item. It doesn't require barreling, thankfully. What I have not got on me is what I need for a steam, not a steam engine, for a boiler. So we should be able to make that nice and easily in just the single boiler. So if I put that there, so this one will want water. How high up can that stretch? That's inconvenient. It's one too short. You know what? I'll do that instead. Oh, I put it the right way around there. There. And there and there. We'll hook these guys up. Okay, and pipes. One there and one there. Yep, so that's making... That's ridiculously fast because I've forgotten to put in these guys. Oh yes, this one doesn't actually take these, but as you can see, that's making far more than one per minute. Okay, now we want to bring coal down on this line here. I'll stick that in. Coal. Where's coal? Up here. And it wants to come down there. So this one wants to be an underground. And then we want this one to be an underground as well, actually. So that can come under, and out, and down. And we're missing that. We'll fill that in. And give these the necessary output priorities. And in you go. Okay. Yeah, so the steam's not going anywhere at the moment, but that's fine. Let's put it... Where's a good place to put it, do we think? Yeah, so we've got another row in here we can fit it in. There we go. So this should be a pipe of steam. There we go. Oh, there's another rocket going off. Rocket number 59. Okay, there's steam done. Now we move on to the interesting stuff. Petroleum gas, heavy oil, and light oil. Now, when I first did my spreadsheet, I must have messed something up royally. I calculated that we needed 37 refineries, 4 cracking plants from heavy to light, and 42 cracking plants from light to petroleum. I redid my numbers, specifically looking at the time it takes once everything's beaconed up. And it actually turns out much, much simpler. We need 7 refineries. And 7 plants cracking from light to petroleum. We don't even need any heavy to light cracking. So, while I was working out, I made this little blueprint book here, and this is my setup. So let's just plonk this down, see what happens. There we go, that's all turned on. Now we just need to hook this up to the relevant stuff. Now I think when I designed this I intended the inputs to be on what is now the bottom, so let's just swap that up. Oh, it's symmetrical anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this one here wants to be water. And water comes from here. Okay, this one here also wants to be water, which comes from this line. Okay, then we have crude oil coming in from there, and okay, then we have our outputs. So heavy oil is coming out here, and I'm going to put this on the bottom, so we need a gap of 2, so there's a gap of 1, a gap of 2, this is where it will come out, so we need that one there, and that will be heavy oil out. Then we want light oil out, which will come out one below it, and petroleum, which will come out one below that. Typical, one below that. Okay, then this one here wants light oil going in. What I might do actually, just save myself a little bit of grief, is rather than take it, it doesn't matter. It does matter because this pipe will be in the way. I will take it out from here. That will go across to there, and then down to there. Okay, now of course none of the flags are coming up yet because I haven't turned this on. So yeah, let's do that, see what breaks. Okay, yes, heavy oil, light oil, petroleum. Look at it go. Of course it's already filled up. Okay, then we want to put each of those 3, of course, into their respective barrels. So what we will do is, we'll just copy this, I think. Get rid of that pipe. And we just want to copy this 3 times. 1, 2, 3. They are not working because they are not powered. Easy to change. And of course they want their input fluids as well. Oh, I've got that the wrong way around. I need that to be fill petroleum gas barrel and fill light oil barrel. I imagine people were screaming at the screen for that one. And these want to be turned around again. Now that one's working good, this one is working good. A little bit juttery because the light oil is being used up by this one. That's fine. Right. Next. Let's see, what do we have next? Okay, lubricant is next on my list. That's easy enough to do. In fact, lubricant, sulphur and sulfuric acid. Yeah, they are the next ones on my list. I want to destroy that blueprint because in my blueprint book I have this one, which makes exactly those 3 things. So if I pop that down there, in fact I could probably save a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to save a little bit on beacons and put it down there. No, I'm not. I'm just going to pop it down up here. Okay, so that's just a tiny bit too far away for the power to connect. Let's see. I'll pop it down there. Okay, so the lubricant, sulfur and sulfuric acid. We don't need a lot of either of these, so there you go. I am just going to hop back and grab some more underground belts. Okay, there we go. There's that bit done. Okay, now in here we need to feed in heavy oil into this line, petroleum into this line, water into this line, and we will get out sulfuric acid there, lubricant there. We also need to feed in some iron. What I have not done is let myself get out some sulfur, because of course sulfur is one of our in-game items. It's doable, it's doable. If I cut those out and put them 1, 2, 3, we'll pop these back in. The speed is still the same, and I can output a long-armed inserter there, and this will be my output line for sulfur. What is next? Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of tidying up, get the bus up to where it needs to be, attach all the necessary pipes. Okay, so all of that is now tidied up. A couple of things to point out. After the refineries and the barreling, crude oil isn't used for anything, so there I can actually mix it down to one pipe. That's just a pipe to get the crude oil to the end of the bus. Similarly, after all of the liquidy stuff, there's only a few things that require water at all, and most of it is used by concrete. So after the fluid section, I'm also going to mix the water down to one pipe. We do have a couple things more to do, one of which I really should have squeezed in here. I've just realised that... oh, they're not quite affected. Yeah, we also need to barrel water. So I could squeeze that in here. I just do this. If I make that set it to water barrels instead, it's going to go unnecessarily fast. In fact, it's already hooked up to the water at least. That means we need to get this water from somewhere else though. That should be easy enough to do. If I just bring it a little bit along this way. Have a corner there and go up. Let's see if we can take it up here. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so that's feeding water back into sulfuric acid and the sulfur. Then I need to feed in the barrels. The barrels come from up here, and that's going to get in the way of everything. Okay, yeah, I've also hooked in the iron, and there was something else I did around here as well. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, that's all hooked up there, and the bus is now nice and neat again. One last thing we want to do here. It's kind of a liquid, even though it's actually not a liquid. It's a solid fuel. It's our primary use of light oil. So, one thing I'll mention, at the moment we're not making much in the way of light oil. That's because we're overproducing petroleum. Once we actually start using petroleum for things like plastics, then this won't be backed up, I think. We may have to tweak things later on, but you know, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it, so to speak. Alright, so let's get rid of that. And in my blueprint book, turns out we don't actually need that much solid fuel, because it's only really used for the rocket via rocket fuel, and we only need one rocket every, like, well, if we're making one per minute, yeah, we need it every 1,000 minutes, which is not fast at all. Let's see, will that work? I'm just going to put it there and see if the speeds are all the same. Yes, that does work, so we can squish it up a bit. So we just need to feed in some light oil. I am actually going to put another one on there. It's not necessary for rocket production or anything of that sort, but I would like to use some of it to go towards... Oh, that doesn't have power. Can that squeeze down a bit? Yes, it can. Yeah, to go towards nuclear fuel for the trains. Okay, so that will also need an output. Okay, so just deliberately overproducing there a tiny bit. This can go up to the top of the bus. Oh, yes, I need an input for it. Light oil, which one is light oil? Oh, I missed one. Let's bring you to the end of the bus as well. Of course you don't go that far. There. And you want to come down exactly where I just put you. Naturally. And you one there. It'll do. Light oil. And there. Again, we're not making enough light oil at the moment, but it will get there eventually. There you go. It's going nice and fast and nice and productively. Okay, good. And the only remaining thing to do, which I did actually have written before solid fuel, but it doesn't matter, is to barrel some sulfuric acid. So I will do that. Okay, so I have just implemented this, just while I was tidying up. This is a little buffer system. Theoretically, I shouldn't need it, but while the buffer is filling up, you should now be able to see that everything is working. Yeah, so they're making the solid fuel is already backed up actually, but all of these are now working nice and full time. That one seems to be running a little low on light oil. I'll keep an eye on that one. I might have to change things up a little bit. But yes, luckily because of the way the big storage tanks work, they don't connect to each other side to side like this. Yeah. Alright, so I will continue tidying up. Okay, so all done. I have brought the bus up to this new end here. I've put in another walking path coming down with more labels. The only label I'm currently missing is uranium rather, because of course we don't have any uranium yet. However, now we are producing sulfuric acid. We are going to ship some of that back towards the trains so we can start making the uranium ore. In fact, that is what will be coming next episode. I've also moved everything up. 8 is what we're working with, so this section here will just all be fluids. Each of the fluids only requires 1 pipe's worth from this point onwards. I have moved empty barrels up to the top of the bus, because they're no longer needed, along with the other 7 barrel types. So we've got 7 barrels, 7 fluids, including the empty barrel, because steam, of course, can't be barreled. And yes, we've got this walking path that continues down this way as well. So all that remains to be done this episode is to let everyone know what we have accomplished. And we have accomplished fluids. So with that, I also added in lubricant barreling because I forgot that one. I will say thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Lol.